Hey, what's up everybody? It's Coach Matt Ellis, EliteThrowsCoaching.com. Thank you all so much for checking out this video series. In today's video series, we're going to be talking a little bit more about discus specific problems, discus specific issues, corrections, drills, and all that good stuff. So make sure if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and also there's going to be a card popping up there. Check out our camps this summer. Doing these camps is what allows me to come out here, do these videos, edit these videos at no charge with no ads to any of you. All right, so one of the biggest problems that I see with athletes, even athletes that have been doing this for a couple of years, is that they don't really know how to hold on to a discus. So they really have a lot of issues, and you hear it from athletes where they say, well, it's not coming off my finger correctly, it's coming off my middle finger, it's coming off my ring finger, it's coming out the back of my hand, I can't get any spin on it, and a lot of this has to do with how you are actually holding the discus. So a lot of times when athletes say things like it's coming off the middle finger or the ring finger, you have to look at how they actually hold this thing. So I'm going to come in close to the camera so you can see, but right here we've put a little blue dot. This is just to designate our discuses at track meets. The blue dot means it's ours. So a lot of times what people do is they'll take their hand and they'll just slap their hand right on top of the discus and think that's where it's supposed to go. Well, if that blue dot represents 12 o'clock, like this is a clock, and right here is 12 o'clock, if you just slap your hand on it, notice what fingers are near 12 o'clock. It's the ring finger and it's the middle finger. So when they let the discus go, even if it comes out the front of the hand correctly, what's going to be the last finger on that discus? Well, it's probably going to be that middle finger or even the ring finger. So what do we have to do to hang on to this thing? Well, it's pretty simple. We just have to clock our hand backwards. So we have to try to get our first finger toward 12 o'clock. This way, the majority of the discus, almost half the discus, is outside of the hand already. And the back of the discus is now going to be mostly in the hand and in the palm. You can accomplish this by kind of pinching your two fingers together. That works good for some people. People with bigger hands, they might have to open their hands up a little bit, but we don't want to see that the middle and the ring finger are at 12 o'clock. We want to see that the first finger is right there at 12 o'clock. So the other big thing that we see is that athletes don't actually have their fingers over the rim correctly. So let me show you what I mean by this. It's pretty simple, but if you take a look at the rim, you've got your fingers. In your fingers, you can see pretty well on mine. My hands are pretty beat up from years of lifting and work and things like that. But you can see you've got the ridges of your knuckles, these little kind of lines that are on your fingers. That's what we want the discus to be touching. So too many athletes go like this, where they put the very, very tippy tip of their finger up against the discus, and then they wonder why they can't get any spin. Well, of course not. You really don't have anything against that rim. There's no meat against it. So we want to see that we get a little bit more of that first knuckle onto that discus, not just the very tip, the pad of the finger, right inside that crease. So if I turn my hand a little bit, you'll be able to see that the crease of that finger is right up against that rim. Once they get it in their hand correctly, once they get their fingers over the tip, a lot of athletes will, or a lot of coaches I should say, will like to take the athletes out into the field and start doing bowling, where they get, 15, 20, 30, 80 feet away from each other and they try to bowl it to each other, roll it on the ground. And while that works, if you don't have a lot of space, or if you have too many kids and it's gonna get too crowded, I like to just toss it up the air to myself and catch it. Now what do we mean? Well, I'm just gonna take the discus like this. You can do it standing around the throwing circle, you can do it standing on a sidewalk or wherever you have around you, and we're just gonna roll it off that first finger and catch it like this. So you'll see there's this blue dot, and you'll see it's gonna spin. You'll be able to see it on the film. Boom, up in the air, nice long arm. We wanna see that arm is super, super long. We wanna make sure there's no bend in the elbow. We wanna make sure it's not coming out the back of the hand where they're pulling their hand toward them like they're doing a curl. We wanna see a long arm. Get that discus out in front. You don't have to throw it super, super hard. You don't have to throw it up in the air 20, 30 feet in the air and risk hitting anybody else. A little bit overhead, get it spinning off that first finger. And then when they get in the circle, they've probably done 20 or 30 of these. Then they get in the circle, it's their turn to throw, and they've built that habit of it coming off that first knuckle. Here you can do a bunch of these flips, 20 or 30 of these flips in a minute, then get in the circle, throw, and make sure it's coming off that first finger correctly.